Hi, this is Vi from Scrappy Mania, and today I have a project that was inspired by one of those craft shows at HSN this past September, and I think it was September 15th. And it was, they actually had a board that had a clip. I think the clip was removable, and it was on some type of Lazy Susan, and it's for coloring. So you put your paper here, and then you can move your coloring book to paint without having, just stay stable and just move it around to kind of paint. And that gave me an idea to do this project. I did have this extra Lazy Susan that I purchased some time ago, and it was just and I was using this for some boxes that I was going to create for storage. But I bought two. I used one that I use for my my stamps. I have a CD case that I put on a block of wood like this with a Lazy Susan underneath, and then that way I can turn around that CD case and look at my stamps and get my stamps. So that's a storage solution that I created, and I was going to create another one and I never did. So I do have two of these. So that gave me an idea to use it. This block is just a recycle block that I had around, and I had my husband cut it so it'll fit perfect on here. And then this is another recycle board that I had that I've used it in the past to paint with, but I want to go ahead and cover this with some paint. This is going to be the bottom part. This is going to be the top part. I got some acrylic paint that was left over from a project. I just put it in this jar, and I save it for whenever I want to paint little boxes and things like that. And it's a lot easier for me to handle than keeping that whole big gallon of paint that only has a little bit in storage. This is a lot easier to store than a gallon of paint that is almost empty. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and sand this, so that way I eliminate any rough edges. So now that it's nicely sanded, and I'm also going to go ahead and sand this, even though you're not going to see this face, I'm going to go ahead and sand it. Okay. And then I'm going to take some wipes. I found this in the dollar store, so I went ahead and got this. I'm going to wring out the excess humidity. And usually these dollar ones don't really have a lot of solution on it. And I'm just going to pick up the sand, or the sanding. I'm just going to clean it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and paint this. So I'll go ahead and paint. So I went ahead and gave 2 coats for the top, 1 coat for the bottom. And let's make sure. And then I went ahead and after I painted, I decided to put some cork underneath it so that way it will not move when I put it on a surface. So now I'm ready to, and then I screw my Lazy Susan onto this base. And I'm going to go ahead and screw this one onto this base. So let me go and get something to protect the paint, because it's dry, but not completely dry. It's not completely cured. So now I'm going to go ahead and figure out where I want this. And you want to center. So let me get my ruler so we can measure it out to make sure that I am center. So 4.5 inches here. Let's go ahead and bring it even more. 4.5. I'm being very careful to make sure that I'm center, because you really want this very stable, and you don't want it that when it spins around it wobbles. So you really got to make sure you measure and keep measuring just to make sure that it's centered. That's where we need it. And now I'm going to go ahead and mark it, because we're going to put glue I don't know, I like to secure my stuff with a little bit of glue. So I'm going to mark my circles here. And then I'm going to mark the sides here. So I got it all marked. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's all nicely marked. I'm going to use some of this Gorilla Glue. Actually, we don't need to secure all that because it's not gonna. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of this. Let me get a cardstock. Forgot the middle part doesn't really. There's a hole in the middle here, so I basically just want to put it on the edges. Now I'm ready to place this where it belongs. Gotta make sure that my screws will fit nicely, which is gonna be right there. And I don't need it too big, so these screws are perfect. Okay, so I got my 4 screws. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drill just a little bit. Okay. Now, let's move this. And I have a perfect Lazy Susan. So I'm done with this project. So here's the wood. Here's a nice base in the bottom. Look how nice it spins. Very nice. And you can use it to color for your color books. And like I can color this here. And you can use it for your art journal, watercolors, whatever. Because you just move the table if you want to change directions on what you're coloring. So let's say I want to color this. I can go ahead and move it. And then if you have, now I used a 3/4 of an inch thickness of wood. So of course my clamps are not, it doesn't open at that wide in order to fit in here. So I'll have to find a different clamp. But if you use a 1/2 inch thickness of wood, this is the wood I had, then you can easily put a clamp at the end here. And then you can clamp your paper down easily if you want to do that. So I had, I saw a product similar like this in HSN, so that's where I got the idea. So I hope you liked the tutorial and I gave you an idea on creating a nice workable, movable surface for when you're using your coloring books or even if you're watercoloring or painting. So I hope you liked this video and thank you for watching. Bye now.